For decades, America's youngest voters, those under the age of 30, were the least likely to show up at the polls. But the issues at stake in the last few cycles have significantly motivated youth turnout. 31% of all registered voters under the age of 30 cast a ballot in the 2022 elections, according to an analysis of census data by Tufts University. That level of youth turnout had a major effect, resulting in one of the highest levels of voter turnout for a midterm over the last 5 decades. And it comes after a full 50% of youth voters turned out for the 2020 presidential election. And turnout is likely to be high once again for the 2024 presidential election. In a CBS News survey conducted just last week, 54% of voters under the age of 30 said that they will definitely vote. Only 7% said that they are unlikely to vote. And for many young voters, they are motivated more by issues than by political parties. If the last election is any indication of those issues, young voters said in 2022 that the most influential issues for them were inflation and abortion. That was followed by jobs that pay a living wage. And young people could wield significant power. Millennials and Generation Z make up more than 40% of the eligible electorate in 2024, according to Rock the Vote. I recently visited a military prep school in Georgia and spoke with some students who will be eligible to vote for the very first time. All right, so we're going to start off just with some hand raising. Who's excited about the upcoming election? All right. And who's going to be voting for the first time? Okay. What issue is most important to you? Jacob.
I would say the well-being of the humans in the country, along with like the state of the country.
I'm very big on sustainability, and I think there's a lot of sustainable energy that we could utilize that we're not right now.
Is that the issue that you're going to be most excited to vote on?
Yes. I want my voice to be heard.
What about you, Shreyans?
Well, I think we should definitely put in more effort to uplift those people who are in the lower tax brackets, lower income. And I also do think that the environment is a major concern.
Do you think that your generation is going to have a difficult time finding good leaders for government? Ooh. You took in a deep breath.
Just our generation is a little iffy on going into government. I think we have a lot of leaders in our generation. I just don't know how they would feel about being an elected official.
Do you think that the politicians who are running for nominations now care about the issues you care about? None.
It's hard to tell from, especially like debates that are on TV. It's hard to tell because they're so concerned with displaying an image that aligns with the voters, the older voters. But I do think as time goes on, they're going to have to start aligning with our opinions because we're the next generation of voters. They're going to have to change their demographic to be us to succeed.
Raise your hand if you think your generation really cares about abortion. Okay. Do you think that your generation is united on what should happen?
No.
Not at all.
No. You think it's completely divided?
I could talk to 2 people in my grade, in my school, and they would have completely opposing opinions.
I agree.
Raise your hand if you know what party you'll be voting for.
I'm currently trying to find someone who matches most of my ideals rather than finding the party that matches my ideals.
Are you voting out of a sense of civic duty, or are you voting because you really are excited about the people who are running?
So I'm an immigrant. I didn't come here with the right to vote. So my parents going through the process of getting their citizenship, I feel like it would be disrespectful to all of that work if I didn't use my opportunities to have a voice in this country.
I am excited to have a say in what goes on. I'm excited to be able to make a change and have my voice heard.
Especially our generation. We have a bunch of passions, and we can't expect these passions to really be shown throughout the country if we aren't doing our duty to vote for who we think aligns with these passions.
You know, it was so interesting talking to these students from Georgia Military College. They're seniors at that prep school there, and they were really excited about being able to vote. And they recognize that they are already coming from sort of a leadership position, so they may not represent the entirety of their generation. But even if that's just a sampling of the leadership, it felt like the country has a bright path ahead of it because they were so optimistic about the possibility of democracy. And it was interesting. I was surprised. I went in with some expectations, but I was really surprised at how they were not aligned with parties. They cared about issues. And so in a lot of those, in a lot of our exchanges, we would hear what you would normally think of, oh, that's a Republican position, that's a Democratic position. But it would flow based off of what they cared about.
It was such a thoughtful and nuanced conversation. I think if that's the takeaway of what voters of tomorrow will look like, we're in good hands.
Yeah.
That's great.